Hi there. Welcome, welcome. Here we are. Another Wondrous Roots, your health from the ground up. Welcome to another session. It is April 13, Saturday. And we're just about the middle of the month here and have been having a lot of April showers where we are here in New England. I don't know about where you are, but anyway, that's fine. That's fine. It means the flowers will be blooming very nicely. And they already are. Forsythia are out, and it's been really wonderful to see. Well, of course, the daffodils and the tulips and all of that, which we had buried in snow for a little bit, but not for long. So anyway, as people are coming into the room, I'll give you a few more minutes. Introduce myself. Most of you who attend live every Saturday understand know me very well and have been here and know what I do and who I am. So anyway, Rebecca Montrone, I have a degree in holistic nutrition. I am certified through the American Association of Drugless Practitioners. I have a practice in Keene, New Hampshire called Wondrous Roots. The Wondrous Roots are my roots of family and God. My parents were both, my mother was a Navy lieutenant nurse. My father was a Navy corpsman. That's how they met. And then he was a compound pharmacist. And my mother was the one who got us all into Adele Davis and taking vitamins and nutrition and all that kind of stuff. My father, I'm also an herbalist. My father was a wonderful, brilliant clinician when it came to helping patients with their health problems, even as a pharmacist. And also, of course, concocting all kinds of coming up with formulas for health problems as a compound pharmacist. So I get my love of compounding things, I believe, from him. So, and then Wondrous Roots in the sense of using the medicines of the earth, the things in God's creation, and dealing with things from the root level rather than the branch level. So those are kind of the three facets of explaining Wondrous Roots. And so anyway, we are located on Roxbury Street, the third floor of the Miller Forge building on Roxbury Street in Keene, New Hampshire. And we have free parking out there. We have complete handicap access. So we have elevator, stairwell, either one when you open during our open hours, which are 9:30 to 5, Monday through Friday. Our door is open and you can walk right in. We have plenty of products that you can just come in at your leisure and shop, see what we're all about. And I also see clients in every day in consultation for their health problems. And I work with people of all ages. I work with health problems of all kinds. And I work locally as well as through like this on a teleconference. So our number here is 603-439-2603. And I can also be reached through our websites, shopwondrousroots.com or wondrousroots.org. And you can reach out there to me through the contact us. It comes to my private email, or you can reach me at my email, rebecca@wondrousroots.org. So I think I have said all of my introductory things that I want to say before this program. It's been really exciting and fun to do this. I've been doing this since I started doing radio every Saturday afternoon back in 2015, in February of 2015. So it's been almost 10 years. I've been doing a Saturday noon something to share information I'm excited about and that I think that you'll be interested in too. If you are listening, if you're listening on Zoom or Rumble for the first time and you want to sign up, because I do a newsletter, which I'll show in a moment, prior to every program that details information I'm going to be talking about. And there's always information you can delve in deeper. You can click on links and see lots of other stuff. So, or at least the things I refer to, which a lot of people enjoy because you can go back, you can read, you can also share with other people. So if you do that, at the bottom of the screen of Rumble or YouTube, you will see the link to today's newsletter. And in that newsletter, you can sign up if you want to receive your own copy before each program. So I think that is it that I say for my intro. So today I am going to pull up my newsletter and share my screen. It's interesting. We've seen a lot in the news about Ozembic, and the weight loss drugs that have become really popular. Another one is you see the woman putting the injection into her belly fat, and it's Roe, and they talk about GLP-1. And that's how these drugs work, through this GLP-1 phenomenon or pathway or whatever, but what you want to call it. But physiologically, it's called GLP-1. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. When I started out wanting to talk about butyrate today, it actually had nothing to do with weight loss. It had to do with butyrate is something we make in our bodies from prebiotics. And there are so many health properties, beneficial health properties to butyrate in the body that I wanted to talk about that. But I did actually have a client at a long distance meeting a week or so ago ask me about GLP-1. What do we do naturally for this, to do this in the nature's world? And so butyrate is the answer for that. So if you're looking for something to kick up your weight loss, maybe you've tried a lot of things and not getting where you want to go. So we're going to talk about that too. But we're going to dig right in, and you'll see why I'm excited about butyrate. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Again, if you want to participate, please do raise your hand if you want to talk. And I'll call on you just like I'm the teacher, and you'll participate like you're on the radio. If you want to type something in, you can type into the chat, and you can type into the Q&A, and I will keep an eye on all of those things. I think that's it. We're off until we're on until about 1 o'clock. Okay. I'm going to share my screen. My chat over here, and my participants put me over there. You can see what's going on here. Okay, great. We've got a nice classroom full here. Great to have you all with me. So butyrate is created in our guts by probiotics. That's what I just said. Boasts very many health benefits, and I said that too. It's been coined nature's Ozembic when it comes to weight loss. So we'll talk about that. So first, what is it? What is butyrate? The body uses fat for energy. Some fats necessary for human health are created by the body, while others are found in the food we eat, like essential fats, like, we can think like omega-3s, right? Or other things like omega-3s are a very good example. Butyrate is created by bacteria in the colon as a byproduct of the breakdown of carbohydrates and the fermentation of fiber from food. It's important for digestion and critical for colon health. In fact, one of the things that it's really known for and was first really promoted for is prevention of colon cancer. We're seeing, for whatever reason, we're seeing it being reported an uptick in colon cancer, especially among younger people in the last couple of years. But you can see here, and again, these don't shine up, but you can actually click on these links. So short chain fatty acid in the human colon, relation to inflammatory bowel diseases and colon cancer. So down here, if you go, up until now, attention has been related especially to cancer prophylaxis and treatment. So using butyrate for that. This article briefly reviews the role of short chain fatty acids. That's what the SCFA is. If you want to think short chain fatty acids, think butter. Particularly butyrate in intestinal mucosal growth and potential clinical applications in inflammatory and neoplastic processes, that would be cancer of the large bowel, so colon cancer. So that's pretty exciting. Okay, so butyrate benefits are much more extensive and influential than that. The following types of dietary fiber produce short chain fatty acids. And remember, I did a program, I want to say probably November, maybe October of last year on prebiotics, probiotics, and Saccharomyces boulardii, which is a probiotic grown on yeast. But anyway, prebiotics. And so we talked about that. And I'm sure you're familiar with prebiotics and probiotics, but that's what this is centered on, is prebiotics, which help us internally make butyrate. So inulin from artichokes, garlic, leeks, onions, and asparagus, fructooligosaccharides found in fruits and vegetables, including bananas, onions, garlic, and asparagus, resistant starch in green bananas and brown rice. We've talked about resistant starches quite a bit too on this program. Pectin from apples, apricots, carrots, and oranges. Arabinoxalan, a byproduct of wheat flour and other cereal grains, or arabinogalactan from carrots, corn, wheat, tomatoes, pears, and radishes. So you can see there's a lot of there are a lot of foods that promote the production of butyrate. When we think of the word bacteria, it often comes from a negative context, as we know that. However, our bodies are home to gazillions of bacteria, most of which are necessary for our survival. Butyrate is an example of why this is so. The bacteria that produce butyrate include firmicutes, which thrives in acidic environments. Butyrates can also be found in animal products such as butter and other dairy products. So, but let's dig into we'll get into the whole weight loss thing in a little bit, but these are some really cool things in alphabetical order that I think that I think are just really great for us to hone in on. And let's see, addiction. Evidence in rat models suggests that enzyme inhibiting actions by butyrate in the cortical regions of the brain strongly decrease excessive alcohol intake from dependent rats and demonstrated a preventive effect on the relapse of alcoholism. Another rat study of butyrate's effect on relapse after cocaine addiction found relapse results from lasting neuroadaptogens that are induced in response to repeated drug administration. The adaptogens require gene expression. This is what we're going to find out. Butyrate, remember we just did a program on epigenetics. So epigenetics, we're going to find butyrate helps DNA correct problems, right, with DNA. That's another cool thing. And that's probably another reason why it has an effect, an anti-cancer effect. But gene expression, some of which being under the control of stable epigenetic regulations. Okay, so how the gene expresses itself. So we're not changing, like because I have an MTHFR mutation, I can't change that mutation. I'm not going to change my MTHFR, my folate metabolism gene, so that I now don't have a mutation. I'm just going to put in the nutrients that overcome the problems that come with the mutation. That's a really concise example of epigenetics when we talk about that type of genetic modulation. Okay, we have previously demonstrated that pretreatment with HDAC inhibitors, of which butyrate is one, reduces the cocaine reinforcing properties as well as the motivation of rats for cocaine. And then we show here that the same HDAC inhibitors, blah, 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 and blah, 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 these other two ones, other than butyrate, right? And phenylbutyrate, significantly reduce the cocaine-seeking behavior. By the same chemical mechanism, butyrate may help forge the behavioral and physical changes that coincide with addiction, though not contributing to addiction itself. That's huge. We have addiction is a huge problem with many people today, many substances, and also you might even think of it when we're going into the weight loss things and beyond the GLP-1 agonist activity, that it could just be too, some people sort of have an addiction to eating, like people who have, that's kind of like Overeaters Anonymous addresses, right? It's kind of like that. You're eating for psychological reasons when you don't need to eat when you're not hungry. So very exciting. Seasonal allergies are a common affliction. The intranasal application, of a butyrate solution has been shown to reduce the symptoms of allergic rhinitis in mice. The only thing I'm going to say about that is butyrate smells like vomit. It's butyrate presence in vomit that makes it smell like vomit. So I was thinking that would be a great thing, like to add to my Wondrous nose, right? But no. We cannot do that to anyone. I certainly would not do that. I do not want the smell of vomit in my nose with me all the time. So anyway, but you can take this. I don't know about if how well it works from the gut itself, but taking it orally. But anyway, antibacterial. Probiotics are beneficial bacteria that live in our bodies. Part of their job is to attack harmful bacteria. Butyrate has been shown effective in fighting several harmful bacterium families, including Shigella, an infectious disease that causes fever, abdominal pain, and diarrhea. Helicobacter pylori causes chronic inflammation of the stomach and intestinal linings, gastritis, and ulcers. Salmonella, food and water contaminated with this common bacterium, cause fever, abdominal pain, and diarrhea, right? So butyrate, I would say that would be a good thing to use if you had been exposed to, along with some activated charcoal, some salmonella, some food poisoning. Furthermore, the phenylbutyrate strengthens the tissues that form the inner and outer layers of cell, creating barriers to pathogens. Anti-inflammatory butyrate supports the immune system by regulating cellular genes involved in an inflammatory response. It decreases inflammatory expression through protein mediation. It also, oxidative stress is known cause of inflammation. We talk about that every single week. Butyrate increases antioxidant activity, thereby reducing stress and improving defense mechanisms. Can reverse inflammation and other damage caused by alcohol consumption, support inflammation blocking cells, and strengthen cellular membranes to keep pathogens at bay. That's super important. That would be great for somebody in recovery, right? Rheumatoid arthritis, a systemic autoimmune disease, while osteoarthritis is the result of the physical degeneration of joints and connective tissue. An association between gut inflammation and certain forms of rheumatoid arthritis has been established. It's known, yes, that's true. It's known that people with certain forms of autoimmune conditions carry low levels of bacteria that create butyrate. And I didn't realize that. I did realize that there is sometimes a dietary induced rheumatoid arthritis. IL-6 is a protein that has been identified as contributing to immune response and inflammation associated with RA and other inflammatory diseases, such as inflammatory bowel disease. Butyrate downregulates IL-6, thus reducing inflammation. So this is an important thing for the inflammatory bowel diseases, such as Crohn's, colitis, ulcerative colitis, IBS. Autism. So again, when you think of butyrate, you think of ketones. And you know how you've probably been familiar with somewhere having heard about a very strict ketogenic diet for autism and for seizure disorder that's been used in severe seizure disorder. So again, these butyrate also works through its ketone donation. And so very, very interesting. But it says the causes of autism are complex and not confined to only one factor. What we do know is that the number of children, two characteristics associated with autism are repetitive behaviors and difficulty with social communication. A 2016 study explored the use of butyrate to ameliorate these specific behaviors. Because butyrate is an epigenetic regulator, a non-gene substance that affects gene behavior, and enzyme inhibitor, it can influence brain activity and behavior. Excitatory neurotransmitters and activation genes in the prefrontal cortex were affected by the ingestion of a small dose of butyrate, resulting in lessening of the measured behaviors. Wow. Another study found that the cognition deficits in mice with autism were also significantly reduced after administration of butyrate. That's something really safe that you can use. You can use it in supplement form, but you could try with somebody who has autism. Autoimmune disorders, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, irritable bowel, type 1 diabetes. So it says here, a lack of adequate Short chain fatty acids allows other bacteria to proliferate out of control. People with encephalomyelitis, such as also known as multiple sclerosis, inflammation of the brain and spinal cord, or type 1 diabetes, for example, have been shown to have the described gut microbiota imbalance. To put things in perspective, the human intestinal, and you should be able to, I haven't pulled all of these up, but let's see where this takes us. Yeah. Okay, so you see, this is really great. In this paper, you can find, if you're saying, gee, I'd really like to look a little bit further and see what they're talking about there. Okay, it's great. Okay, that's why I really, whoops. Where was I here? That's why I really like to like doing it this way, because I can show you that. Okay. The human intestinal microbial compartment includes at least 1,000 distinct bacterial species, totaling about 10 bacteria and containing 100-fold more genes than their human host. Most pathogens enter the body through the intestinal mucosa and must be rapidly eliminated by a protective immune response. The intestinal immune system has to discriminate between invasive organisms and harmless antigens, including immunological tolerance towards the latter. Okay, let's move on to blood sugar. It's a big problem today. Blood sugar disorders, type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome, pre-diabetes, all of that, which causes, a lot of other problems when it comes to health, what we call the comorbidities. So an imbalance of the gut bacteria can lead to leaky gut, in which the intestine perforate and leaks microbes, toxins, and undigested food into the bloodstream. Intestinal permeability is common in people with type 1 diabetes. And this is, I know, speaking to somebody who's out there listening right now, this is important. And this is something that I would say butyrate, if you are in that situation, that butyrate would be a good thing to add to your supplement list. Increases beta cell growth and function in diabetics, improves glucose homeostasis by stimulating insulin production, decreases blood glucose in the event of beta cell dysfunction. Of course, that's what happens with type 1 diabetes, right? The islets of Langerhans no longer are destroyed, and they're the ones that make the beta cells. However, we have seen it shown that beta cells can be regenerated. That doesn't mean that I think they can be regenerated, that it's been shown that they can be regenerated to the point of reversing type 1 diabetes to any significant extent. But that is really cool. It certainly would be beneficial for type 2. Butyrate improves insulin sensitivity, which is the first thing that goes with type 2 diabetes, is that you're making the insulin, but your cells aren't responding, and can prevent insulin resistance in mice. Brain and nerve development. There's an undeniable link between gut microbes and the central nervous system. Short chain fatty acids modulate protein synthesis, reduce oxidative stress, that inflammatory damage from free radicals, and are able to cross the blood-brain barrier. Great. Observed effects of butyrate on brain cells and nerves after stroke, in which both are severely damaged, showed marked enhancement of brain cell proliferation. In fact, the metabolism of a high-fiber diet in the gut can alter gene expression in the brain to prevent neurodegeneration and promote regeneration. Okay, look at that. That's really quite remarkable. The metabolism of a high-fiber diet in the gut can alter gene expression in the brain to prevent neurodegeneration and promote regeneration, writes one study. And let's take a look at that study. There we go, out of this journal, Neuroscience Letters. Neuroepigenetics and the gut microbiome. Again, doesn't we go right back to the microbiome, how important the microbiome is to our overall health. It's just absolutely remarkable and important. Okay. Okay, taking butyrate before brain injury also improves recovery and cognitive outcomes. Plus, the nutrient is beneficial in preventing hearing loss, as well as damage caused by vascular dementia, so the mini strokes, right? Spinal muscular atrophy, and ALS. So I'm already thinking of a few people that I want to add this to. their recommendations. In addition, butyrate enhances learning and memory by increasing neural plasticity. So that's the regenerative ability of the brain cells, of the neurons in the body. Cancer research has determined that on its own, butyrate inhibits cancer cell proliferation and causes apoptosis, programmed cell death. However, it isn't robust enough as a cancer treatment. It can, however, be an effective component when combined with other anti-carcinogens. So it would be a good addition to, like, say, a protocol I put on somebody for cancer, a natural protocol. Butyrate, with antioxidant properties and the ability to regulate enzyme function, butyrate also triggers gene activation that depresses cancer cells. So I would bet that that's probably through the p53 enzyme pathway that we've talked about before that glutathione does. I wonder, sodium butyrate on cancer and abnormal prostate cells. And here we go. Anyway, you can see that there. So we've got the NR regulated genes, blah, 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 blah. But anyway, this is exciting, correct? It sounds, again, like one of those really root items to add for just overall health because of the very many different ways it impacts the body positively. And, one of the ways we got away from getting adequate butyrate in our diet, again, a processed diet that isn't high in fiber, especially in what we would call resistant starch. I mean, who eats green bananas unless they're actually trying to do that? And then also the big push for decades to get us off our saturated fats, our short chain fatty acids, such as butter, such as animal lard, and things like coconut oil, palm oil. I'm not saying that butter is definitely a source of butyrate, but the short chain fatty acids being very important. So what have we kind of removed from our diets without thinking about it? Not really necessarily intentionally, but we just did because of the things that are promoted for us to eat, that we tend to eat in our modern day, and the things we don't eat in our modern day. Butyrate is not only created in the human gut, but in animals as well. Butter, from where butyrate gets its name, and the cow's milk it's made from contains tributyrate, a butyrate derivative. When it comes to its effect on cancer cell apoptosis, tributyrate, also found in honey, is more potent. A remarkable phenomenon is tributyrate's ability to distinguish cancerous cells from healthy ones. So interesting because in cancer, we use black cumin seed oil along with raw honey mixed together. The honey makes the black cumin seed oil work better when it comes to cancer. And here we probably have a big clue as to why that is, right? With just this right here. Alone or in combination with other nutrients, butyrate and its derivatives are effective in killing cancers of the breast, blood, colon, and prostate. In fact, one study found that incidences of colon cancer tumors reduced by 75%. That's called statistically significant in mice who consumed a high fiber diet and had healthy levels of butyrate producing bacteria. This is due to the nutrient's ability to kill cancer cells directly, cut off tumors from nourishment, and stimulate cancer-fighting T cells. Cancer researchers are exploring different methods of administering butyrate as treatment, including orally and via intravenous injection. One novel approach is to inject butyrate directly into tumors, and you wouldn't do that with conventional chemotherapy. So this is kind of interesting when you look at something like this, and Now, let me just make a comment here, because I said this last week and I say it many times. A lot of times you get told by your doctor, don't take those supplements. Stop all the supplements. There's no studies on this stuff, right? So I could put sodium butyrate into somebody's anti-cancer protocol And the oncologist says, stop that. There's no studies. There are no studies. That's wrong. This is in the National Institutes of Health, National Library of Medicine, published in the PubMed database. And there's tons. This is just one example of this on butyrate. You're going to find, if you went to the PubMed Advanced, if you went to the search guide, right, and just said, okay, butyrate, oops, now I can't type, answer. So you get over almost 8,500, over 8,500 hits in this database of efficacy in colorectal cancer, right? Reverses blah, 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 resistance in colorectal cancer by doing this, blah, 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 goes on and on. Inhibits gastric cancer cells by this. Okay, so see that? So this is, but the thing is, your doctor is not aware, right? But be really careful before you say, oh, if that were true, my doctor would know about it. And so I should stop all my supplements. If you're working with me, run it by me, because I know how to compare what you're doing for supplements with what you're doing for regular treatment as well, chemotherapy or whatever. And it's just, it's just a shame. But that's a very good example of, there are no studies. There's no studies on this stuff. No, there's no studies that you're aware of on this stuff. Cardiovascular health, atherosclerosis, otherwise known as hardening of the arteries, occurs when plaque sticks to artery walls, narrowing them and making them less pliable. This is a major contributing factor of stroke and heart attack. Butyrate has been found to slow the progression of the condition by stopping plaque from sticking to the artery walls. Okay, so while you're getting your taking care of your cancer or preventing your cancer, let's prevent heart disease at the same time. Cholesterol, short chain fatty acids, and this is where we really go wrong with the whole way that the American Heart Association looks at heart disease, right? Because they're going to tell you cholesterol is that butter, don't ever have butter. Thank goodness, you can't have any butter if you have heart disease, if you've had a heart attack. Short chain fatty acids regulate fat metabolism in the intestines. How the body manages blood cholesterol is partly genetic. Research has identified 9 key genes involved in regulating cholesterol synthesis. Butyrate acts on these genes and slow and downregulates their expression, which may alter one's predisposition and how cholesterol is metabolized. Chronically high LDL or imbalanced cholesterol in the blood contributes to a variety of serious illnesses, blah, 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 blah. But the thing is, we are balancing. The short chain fatty acid is balancing. I did that in my program, Packing a Healthy Lunch. I explained about how we definitely need the short chain fatty acids like butter to protect our cardiovascular health and to prevent heart attack and to manage the lipids. So we're being sold, we're kind of, it's like mainstream medicine is looking at things that just at face value and making some odd conclusions that are not necessarily valid. And it looks like we have a caller. So I'm going to see, where are you? I have someone raising their hand and I'm trying to call on them. Oh, there we go. All right. Okay, Joe, can you hear me? Can we hear you?
I can hear you.
And I can hear you great. We can all hear you. So that's wonderful.
Oh, very good.
Hi.
Yeah, you're talking about them not having any, checking up on these, and the doctor says don't take it. Well, a lot of people that I know, they tell me I'm wasting my money with the supplements. But what a coincidence! I've been taking the supplements with you for 9 years, and I haven't been sick in 9 years. So you know what? I'll waste my money.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I know. I'll waste mine too. Yeah, exactly. I'll take my chances on wasting that money. Yeah.
Well, would I rather spend it on that or medication that has all kinds of side effects?
Well, the thing is too, you're not, you're an older man, and you also have some chronic illnesses that you're managing as well. Well, you have one chronic condition that you're managing, diabetes. I don't think I say that. So it's not that, and so, you've been able over the last 9 years to really remain really healthy, and you don't get sick like with sicknesses.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, it's, consider me one of the studies. If they keep saying they're not studying.
Yeah.
Hey, I just don't get sick. Thank goodness.
I know. That is wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, that's great. Well, I just think, I thank God, and I'm glad I know this stuff and then I can share it for my own sake, for the sake of my family, and for the sake of the people, my friends, and the people I work with, professionally, for sure. Yes.
I just want to let people know that for me, it's working.
Wonderful. That's great. Thanks so much for that, Joe. Appreciate it. Yeah, those of us who do this stuff, we know, and it's exciting. It's very exciting because it's not living life with waiting for the next shoe to fall, or, I'm another year older. So, what's going to go this year? Sure. Do things go as we get older? Yes, but let's slow that down. Let's see what makes them go and put back the missing pieces so that they don't go, right? So anyway, again, you need the short chain fatty acids, and butyrate is super important. Another thing, that's happened in modern medicine is a lot of people's guts have been destroyed with the use of antibiotics, and not being able to, not taking care and making sure that we set that microbiome back the way it's supposed to be. A lot of people have a leaky gut. Leaky gut is induced easily through, I don't want to use the trigger word here, but through inoculations. You guys know what I'm talking about, which cause inflammation. One of the reasons those treatments work in babies is because they cause a great deal of inflammation, because the body naturally makes antibodies when we're exposed to something very efficiently. But when you have to use it in a syringe, it doesn't do that. So they add things like formaldehyde or whatever to cause excess inflammation. And that inflammation now gets to the gut wall, makes the gut wall permeable, and kind of, if you will, destroys the gut microbiome, and allows large molecules of foods and things in the intestine to leach through into the bloodstream, creating food sensitivities, food allergies, all kinds of things like that. So a lot of people today have problems with their guts. I would say it's a very huge percentage of people complaining about their health has something to do with the gut. And so very important to get that right. And butyrate, prebiotics and butyrate, in having adequate butyrate in our intestines is super important for all overall health. As we've seen, we're only on number 13, depression, anxiety, and psychological disorders, by way of regulating enzymes that act on amino acids, the building blocks of protein. Butyrate promotes the growth of brain tissues, particularly in the hippocampus. This part of the brain is responsible for emotion. It's also the part of the brain that's very impacted with Alzheimer's disease. It's the hippocampus. This part of the brain is responsible for emotion. For psychological conditions like both bipolar disorder and depression, butyrate has been shown to reduce stress, stabilize mood, and improve memory by upregulating hippocampus cell activity. And I had no idea about that until now. This is like going to school for me, doing this every Saturday, because this is like helping me and people I'm trying to help. Gene activity, again, influencing genetic signaling and DNA expression and repair. Butyrate's activity on cancerous cells, for example, has been shown to differentiate abnormal from healthy cells and stimulate expression of DNA repair proteins that inhibit abnormal cell growth. That's like P53, tumor suppressor enzyme P53. So going back to Angelina Jolie and the BRCA, the BRCA1 mutation that results in a 49% increased chance of getting breast cancer. Okay, this is just one example. Why is that? Because the BRCA1 gene, when not working properly, is downregulating the expression of that P53. So this is what we're talking about here. So basically, and I've talked about glutathione doing that, goes over there and says, we are going to help you try to repair yourself. We're going to DNA repair proteins that, okay, we're going to try to help you repair yourself, but if not, you're going to have to kill yourself so that you can't multiply out of control here. Gut health. Lower pH in the lower digestive system is conducive to bacterial growth, blah, 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 used primarily by the colon. Butyrate, which is a fat, provides energy to colon cells. It is able to move through cell membranes, stimulate sodium and water absorption, and deliver nutrition. Butyrate supports the strength of intestinal cell walls, a healthy gut mucosal lining, increased blood flow, facilitates the elimination of waste. It's known that a fiber-rich diet is important for digestive health, and short-chain fatty acids is why. Humans, isn't that interesting? We wouldn't think that, right? You kind of think of the fiber is to get things moving, provide bulk, and keep everything moving through my colon so that I have regular bowel movements. But look at this. It's the short-chain fatty acid production from the fiber. Humans lack the enzymes to digest fiber, and that's what the bacteria that produce butyrate live on. By breaking down digestive fiber, they regulate redox oxidation in the intestine. That's free radical damage, inflammation. Lack of adequate short-chain fatty acids can contribute to colorectal cancer, diarrhea, and inflammatory bowel diseases. Studies show that butyrate can improve symptoms in 53% of patients with Crohn's disease, and when administered as an enema, reduce symptoms of ulcerative colitis by 13%. And liver support, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, completely preventable. It's caused by diet and lifestyle. Regularly eating too much sugar and its various forms and refined flour are major factors in creating this condition. Its results can be life-threatening, such as liver dysfunction, cancer, diabetes, and heart attack. Fortunately, it can be reversed. Fatty liver, if it causes or removes your liver, supremely regenerative, and its nature will heal itself. Other significant factors that contribute to a fatty liver are impaired intestinal barrier function. So that's where they're talking about, and insulin resistance. So that's where they're going with the butyrate. Markers of liver damage, inflammation, lipid peroxidase and glucose, as well as lipid metabolism. At this juncture in the study, the mice with liver damage were given an oral butyrate supplement, which then significantly reduced liver inflammation. So absolutely huge. Mitochondrial support. I am the mitochondriac. Mitochondria are microscopic components of cells that convert nutrients and oxygen into energy. They make life possible in all organisms larger than a microbe. Exposure to radiation, either from nuclear energy production or cancer therapy, can often damage or kill mitochondria. Butyrate, thanks to its antioxidant and epigenetic actions, protect mitochondria from radiation damage. But I would also say, but think about radiation damage too, right? With the EMFs, with the electromagnetic radiation that we're all exposed to massively through our electronics and Wi-Fi and all of that. Mood. The food we eat, blah, 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 GABA is a butyrate relative. GABA is a neurotransmitter that counteracts the effects of glutamate, an excitatory neurotransmitter. Magnesium does that too, thereby quelling feelings of anxiety. Additionally, butyrate turns on the genes responsible for the regulation of the enzyme tyrosine hydroxylase, which has a role in the control of stress hormones and brain opioid production, influencing neuronal plasticity, stress, and cardiovascular functions. Interesting. I would almost think that would have a similar effect as low-dose naltrexone, LDN therapy. I'm just kind of going off on that in my mind. Neurodegenerative disease, Huntington's, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's disease, when the brain cells stop talking to each other and die prematurely. We've already mentioned that short-chain fatty acids can penetrate the blood-brain barrier and that butyrate affects enzymes that break down proteins and is epigenetic in nature. Breaking down proteins, so maybe like that beta amyloid plaque, might be a good thing post injection for the most recent epidemic we had that the world was taken by storm because of those proteins, right? Makes sense to me. I'm just logically kind of drawing some connections there. Probiotics actively participate in, okay. One other research for butyrate effects on Huntington's and Alzheimer's disease and ALS found similar results, improving memory, cognition, staunching brain cell apoptosis, so the dying off of the brain cells, and turning off genetic triggers that contribute to these conditions. Yes. So that's where you see these genetic components of why, do families have, like my family, early onset Alzheimer's disease. You've got genetic triggers contributing. So we need to turn those triggers off. That's epigenetics. Turn the triggers off. Isn't it exciting? Don't you just get so excited when you think about this, when you think about how much control you have that you don't realize you have, and that you're realizing more and more that you have? And it's very, very exciting. And it's very beyond what you're going to see on TV, either in the media or in the pharmaceutical drug ads. So pancreas support, okay, that's very important. Talking about diabetes, pancreatitis. Okay, so this is good for pancreatitis if you've ever had an acute pancreatitis, which can be very, very damaging. So butyrate effectively reduces pancreatic inflammation, preventing permanent injury. And I have somebody, is he on with me today, who was just went on a special diet for acute pancreatitis. And so there, I didn't realize that about butyrate, but now I do. So I will be sure to pop an email over to him. Sickle cell disease. That's a horrible disease. Butyrate is effective at stimulating normal hemoglobin production by turning off the genes that cause its irregularity. That's huge. Butyrate's effectiveness is remarkable at 50 to 85% of the patients involved in a 1995 study published in Current Opinion in Hematology. This is what really gets my blood boiling. Is 1995, how many children with sickle cell disease are actually getting treated with butyrate? Weight loss. Okay, so here we go. We're winding up to, this is kind of like the sort of thing that you watch your horrible local news channel so you can get the weather. So that's why they don't do it until the end, because they don't want you to turn the channel. So I left the weight loss stuff for the end. But it's no secret that dietary fiber is essential for maintaining a healthy weight, but it can also boost weight loss. In fact, one study found that butyrate triggered a 10% fat loss in obese mice. It works both by inhibiting calorie intake and increasing energy expenditure. But that's not the whole deal. So I'm going to go back to my newsletter, and we'll go here. How butyrate, okay, so what is GLP-1, right? Because that Ozembic, which is a diabetes drug, first of all, but then Hollywood found out you could lose a lot of weight on it. And so a lot of people have been on Ozembic for weight loss and purportedly losing tons of weight. There's another one that you see on TV, RO, and she's got like a thing that she's like putting something like once a week into her fat in her abdomen. So let's go down here. How these GLP-1 agonists and weight loss work. GLP-1 agonists work by mimicking the effects of a hormone called GLP-1, which is produced naturally in the body. And that's how we're going to do it. If you're going to use butyrate for that, that's what you're doing. In response to food consumption, this hormone is involved in regulating insulin secretion, feelings related to hunger, and the emptying of the stomach. GLP-1 agonists, okay, so agonist means it makes it work, it incites it to work, stimulates it to work, and bind to GLP-1 receptors in the body, thereby resulting in the same effects. By activating receptors in the pancreas, GLP-1 agonists are able to regulate insulin and control blood sugar, explains Spencer Nedolewski, DO, an obesity specialist physician based in Portage, Michigan, and medical director of Sequence, an online weight loss program. But they also activate receptors in the brain to curb appetite and in the gut to slow stomach emptying. A GLP-1 agonist can impact satiety or feeling, but you're full, and cravings to support weight loss, he adds. It helps you to eat fewer calories by making you feel more satisfied with decreased cravings. You can learn more about that if you click there. But the problem is there are side effects to these drugs. And let's see. Diarrhea issues, digestive issues are the most common side effects of GLP-1 agonists, including diarrhea, bloating, constipation, nausea, and vomiting, according to blah, 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 Dr. Billette. He notes, hang on. The other side effects have been reporting, including dizziness, headaches, and fatigue. The abdominal complaints can be alleviated by starting at lower doses and slowly increasing. He advises pointing out that the negative effects of obesity also often outweigh the risks of side effects associated with the GLP-1 agonist. Now, I would argue, or I would say, that increasing your butyrate, as we've seen throughout this whole program in very many areas of health, is a very positive thing. And I don't think, and we can find here as well that butyrate supplements are, how about butyrate works in the body? You can click on that too and read outweigh the risks. I know I just saw that gene regulation, how that does. For patients who are concerned about potential butyrate supplement side effects, it can also be helpful to consider the FDA's insight. Okay, wait a minute, it says here. Although there are relatively few clinical studies on the safety and effectiveness of butyrate supplements for patients with gastrointestinal and neurological disorders, early studies indicate that side effects are unlikely to occur. In one double-blind randomized controlled study that explored the potential for the use of sodium butyrate to address IBS symptoms, none of the 66 trial participants reported adverse side effects. In another preliminary report on the possibility of using sodium butyrate for IBS, the result was the same. None of the patients experienced side effects. So I think, what we've got here is definitely a safer way to work and interact with this pathway. Where are we here? So how butyrate increases GLP-1 naturally. The stimulation of the GLP-1 secreting cells. Butyrate directly stimulates L cells in the gut lining to secrete GLP-1. L cells are enteroendocrine. Entero means the intestinal. Endocrine means hormonal cells that produce GLP-1 among other hormones. Butyrate increases the activity of these cells, thereby enhancing the production of GLP-1. So you are naturally doing that. Healthy appetite goals. By influencing the production of hormones like GLP-1 and peptide YY-PYY, butyrate can help regulate appetite and satiety. Potentially leading to reduced food intake. You're just satisfied with less food. And then the GPR41-43 activation. Butyrate acts as a ligand for G protein coupled receptors expressed on enteroendocrine L cells. Activation of these receptors by butyrate can trigger signaling pathways that lead to the GLP-1 secretion. So I would say if you're interested in using, and people have been asking me, wanting to lose weight, what can I use? That is, do you have, and like someone asked me, do you have anything that works with this GLP-1 for weight loss? I would say that. And I would also say sodium butyrate is a ketone, like short chain fatty acids are ketones. So this type of a supplement is ideal if you're doing, I'm not saying you should do a ketogenic diet, but if you're doing a ketogenic diet, using a supplement like a sodium butyrate is a boost to having that ketogenic effect. So if you're looking to lose some weight and you want something that has with it a lot of other benefits for your health, something that's missing, something that's very root level. This is definitely talking about things at the root level. So we do carry this. You can see this here. You can find it elsewhere as well, but we do carry the sodium butyrate right there. And again, talks about the GLP-1, whatnot. So I think that pretty much brings me to the end of my program. If anyone has anything they want to, we've got a few minutes. We've got about 5 minutes left till 1 o'clock. But we can always end early. But if anybody has anything they want, any questions or any thoughts or anything else you want to maybe talk to me about, now's the time to do it. Feel free to pop in to the chat, or you can always raise your hand, or you can type into the Q&A. But without that, and I don't see anybody popping in with that, I am going to say, next week. Oh, let me tell you this. I'll tell you this. So talking about, I think it would be great with Golo. The Golo program is golo.com is an eating dietary program that shows you how to balance your foods and your food groups and how much to eat and how much of what. And it has a good track record. They also make a supplement called Release, and Release has different products, different things in it to help with satiety, and has, banana leaf extract, chromium, zinc, rhodiola, magnesium, berberine, inositol, apple fruit extract, salacia extract, gardenia fruit extract. That's what's in the Release formula by the Golo company. It's a good formula. Could they be used together? Yes, they could. You could use it alone, or you could use it in addition. There would be no contraindication there. Very good question. Very good question. So next week, I'm not going to be here live. I am going to actually, for the first time, be going to Joe Mabe's hyperbaric tank. So some of you are just laughing at me because I've talked, and Joe's been a guest on my radio program many times. And I think the benefits of hyperbaric oxygen treatment are amazing. And his is even better because it's not just the pure oxygen, but he's got the, something that starts with argon in there as well. There's other gas that is naturally present in air, so it's safer, it's more effective than HBOT by itself. But we're doing this now. I'm going to tell you this. My daughter won't mind me saying this, but she's coming home because she, for a UTI a while back, she was put on a drug called Macrobid, nitrofurantoin. And this is a drug that's an antibiotic that's very often used for UTI and very safely used. But she developed a neuropathy from it. So we found that it can be neurotoxic. And so she has this phenomenon of neuropathy, tingling, numbness, weird sensations that are like throughout her whole body. And we're doing everything to combat that. It's kind of exciting, the things we're doing. But one of the things we're going to be doing is the hyperbaric fitness. So she's coming home Thursday. She's going to do a couple of sessions on Friday, and then I'm going to go in with her on Saturday. And it'll be my first time in the tank. So I'll let you know. Thanks, Deb. Debbie says hi to Krista. I'll let her know you said that. So we've got some other really cool things happening that we're doing with regard to this. And I think the butyrate would be a huge addition to getting the nerves going back the way they are. But again, buyer beware with these drugs. And of course, there's no way she would know this, but this is a very serious thing. This neuropathy from this medication, this commonly prescribed medication, can cause an irreversible neuropathy. That means it never goes away. And, she felt like saying to her doctor, don't you think that might be worth mentioning? But I'm sure the doctor has no idea. You can go back, you can find science about it, going way back and chronicling cases of this happening. She's doing all kinds of things. She's doing acupuncture. She's seeing a chiropractor on Tuesday. She is doing she's doing tons of nutrients, and she has been for years. as you guys all know, I've talked about her being compound heterozygous with the MTHFR. So she's been on tons of things. She's had a very healthy life, but did have this reaction to this medication, and very concerning. I mean, that could change her life. Things do seem to be improving, but we'll see. But I think I remember when, if you those of you who've been with me for a while, George Blaze, who worked with me for his cancer years ago, his wife, oh gosh, now I'm giving somebody's name out. Well, anyway, they won't care. He was on my radio. They were on my radio program. They've done a testimony on my website, so they don't care about their privacy. Okay. So anyway, Helen, his wife, she started going to the tank. She just went because I told her, I've never been there, but I've told all these people how great it is for you. Right. So Joe will be laughing at me. But anyway, she's had not been able to feel her feet, her toes, for years and years and years prior to going in for the first time. And halfway through the first session, she said, I can feel my toes. And that was so hyperbaric oxygen treatment is very excellent for neuropathy. And she got hooked on it. She's like, not for the neuropathy, but just for her overall health. She goes, she's been for years and years and years now. She goes twice a week. She will not miss. She is a HBOT. She is a hyperbaric fitness chamber groupie. So anyway, that's what I'm going to be doing next week. I'll probably, if I have a chance, it's very hard for me to get time to do this during the week, but I will get a newsletter out anyway, but I won't be doing a live program. And then I will be back the following week. So anyway, that takes us through. We are at 101. Have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for being with me. If you have questions or anything related to this or anything else, you know how to reach me. And again, have a it's a great Saturday. The Masters is on. I've never played golf in my life except for mini golf, and I'm really lousy at that, but I really enjoy when the Masters is on, watching that. So we'll see how that goes. And maybe Tiger Woods, I heard, did make the cut. So anyway, maybe you're not into golf, but it's fun. It's a fun game to watch. So whatever you're doing this weekend, have fun, be well, and thanks for joining.